Good evening, San Diego. I'm Chief Meteorologist Carlene Chavis, and thank you for tuning in for your CBS 8 Plus weather update. All right, let's talk about the weather because it is quite a variety. And they say variety is the spice of life, and apparently that's what it is with our temperatures right now because we have quite a difference across the board. When it comes to our daytime highs for today, you had the marine layer influence closer towards the coast. You had 63 degrees as a high today for Oceanside. You had 64 for Del Mar. Then you start to notice a little bit of a difference. So Western Valley cities, a little bit more of that marine layer influence than going a little bit more towards the east. And that's why you still had some 70s that were out there. But once you get into that sunshine and go a little bit more towards the east of the 15, you start to talk about some warmer temperatures as we did have some 80s that were taking over. Even across the mountains, we had those 80s, and still the excessive heat for the desert today. Borrego Springs was at 109, and we were dealing with highs that were upwards of 111 across the desert southwest. And so a lot of heat was out there today, and we are still looking at that for tomorrow too. When it came to our daytime highs, away from the coast, you had some daytime highs that were a little bit warmer than usual. Ramona was at 85 degrees. That was about 5 degrees above seasonal. You also had a warmer than usual temperature for Borrego Springs, and then you had a little bit of a cooler than usual temperature just by a couple degrees for downtown because of that marine layer. When we look at temperature comparisons when it comes to our highs for today, definitely not talking about a record for San Diego, and as mentioned, a couple degrees below seasonal. 109, about 9 degrees above average today for Borrego Springs, but not talking about a record. The record still stands at 114 on this day back in 2002. So more heat is in store for the desert, and that's where we've been seeing the alert when it comes to the excessive heat warning. But not just talking about us here locally when it comes to our county, but across the Southwest. You're seeing everything highlighted in pink being an excessive heat warning. That's impacting areas like Fresno as well as for Bakersfield. Heat advisory impacting for Oakland as they're dealing with 90s. You're talking triple-digit heat, everything you see highlighted in pink towards the north of us. Heat advisory across Las Vegas, and you're also seeing in just southern portions of Nevada as a whole, and much of the state of Arizona dealing with an excessive heat warning because of highs upwards of 113. Inland Empire has the 90s. It's all because of this massive ridge of high pressure that has been our main weather maker over the past couple of days. Now, we're still locked into this area of high pressure. So the peak of the heat was today for San Diego County. It backs off a little bit by tomorrow, but still warmer than usual temperatures and still locked into that excessive heat warning across the desert for highs upwards of 109 by tomorrow, and so it doesn't look to expire until 9 p.m. on Friday night. You have June gloom conditions closer towards the coast. We've been seeing more of a shallow marine layer that basically has the clouds confined to the immediate coast and extending about 5 to 10 miles inland. We are still locked into those conditions by tomorrow. Now, and if you continue to go towards the east, that's where you're seeing that inland warmth or feeling that inland warmth and seeing that sunshine. So the inland heat will continue with only a minor slip in our temperatures over the weekend. You're going to see that coming up on your 8-day. So now that we are into these summertime months, you're talking about June, July, August. We're dealing with the heat wave that's happening across the Southwest. We've been giving you tips on how to beat the heat by drinking plenty of water, making sure you're not outdoors during those midday hours, so around noon all the way into about 3 in the afternoon, because that's when we have the peak of the heat, that time frame. Now, do you know the signs when it comes to heat exhaustion and heat stroke? Heat-related illnesses are the #1 killer in the United States. And so we want to prepare you, just some signs to look for if you, or even just keep in the back of your mind when you are out there, because we are into those hot months. So for signs for heat exhaustion, you're talking about feeling faint or dizzy. You're sweating excessively, a rapid, weak pulse, also muscle cramping. This is why we tell you to avoid being outdoors with those strenuous outdoor activities like hiking or working out, or even in some cases, pickleball. I know it's really popular with people right now, but just keep in mind that you need to be drinking plenty of water and also knowing those signs. So if you do start to feel some of these signs of heat exhaustion, it is best to get to a cool place, drink plenty of water, and also take a cool shower to cool your body down. Now, something that's a little bit more dire when it comes to heat-related illnesses, that is a heat stroke. You have a throbbing headache. You're not sweating at all. If you see someone who is suffering from some of these signs, you're talking about a rapid, strong pulse, or even just dry, hot skin that is red, call 911 immediately. That person's body needs to be cooled down. They could lose consciousness. And so that's why you should call 911 immediately. This is something a little bit more dire than heat exhaustion. But please know the signs, keep them in the back of your mind over the next few months as we are dealing with summer heat. We even got a little bit of a head start on it. These temperatures that we've been feeling across inland areas are something we actually tend to get a little bit closer to the beginning and middle of July. When we take a look at your overnight lows, you're seeing a lot of 60s out there for tonight through tomorrow morning. You have 64 degrees for Encinitas, 62 for downtown. These temperatures are right before our sunrise for tomorrow. You also have 59 degrees, and that is for Miramar. You have those 60s across the mountains and 77 degrees as an overnight low, and that will be for Borrego Springs. Then you get to the heat of tomorrow. You're looking at those widespread 60s out there. 67 degrees, that will be for Encinitas, also 67 degrees for Del Mar. Getting away from the influence of the marine layer, that's when we start to have a little bit more of that warm up. So still in those 80s for Valley Center, the same for Ramona, 82 degrees for Julian tomorrow, 106 for Borrego Springs. So when you look at your surf forecast, think about maybe beating the heat there. You have a water temperature of 62 degrees. You also have your surf about 2 to 4 feet with sets up to 5 feet and a moderate risk of rip currents at our local beaches. For your high tide, it is still with that extra pull because the new moon phase is taking place today and tonight. That is creating that extra pull. So still with those high tides between about 6 to 7 feet, and that is at 6.9 feet at 9:33 for tonight. As mentioned, those overnight lows that I showed you, that is right before our sunrise. So within the 5 o'clock hour, our sunrise tomorrow morning, 5:41 in the morning. Your sunset will be 5 minutes before 8 tomorrow. So when you look at your 8-day microclimate forecast, you notice those 60s, they're not really going anywhere, and that's going to be for the coast. You're still dealing with the morning cloud cover and barely seeing an entire clearing of those clouds by the afternoon hours. So you'll see some of that sunshine peeking through. That's going to continue. You have that all the way into next week for the coast. You have those low 70s returning by Thursday and Friday of next week. Inland Valley still locked into those upper 70s to low 80s all the way into the start of the weekend. A little bit of a slip on Sunday, and then temperatures will gradually warm by next week. We are still looking at widespread 80s over the next 8 days across the mountains. A little bit of a slip. That's with that high pressure system moving towards the east, and that brings those 80s right back into the 70s. That will be on Sunday for the mountains, and then temperatures rebounding into the start of next week. The excessive heat warning, as mentioned one more time, it goes all the way until 9 p.m. for tomorrow for the desert. This is going to be your afternoon high around 106. Could see it go up a little bit more to 109. Temperatures come down only slightly over the weekend, but the triple-digit heat not going anywhere for the desert over the next 8 days. Stay safe out there, stay hydrated as well, especially if you're away from the coast, and thanks for tuning in.